Today we're going to get an introduction to Humanware Brailliant BL40X. It's a refreshable Braille display. So it comes in a box as is with a leather carry-on or leather jacket with a lanyard. This is a $4,000 to $5,000 piece of equipment, so it has to be protected. The leather cover is actually a thick leather with suede finish to prevent scratches or dust to come to the surface of the Braille. And it has a lanyard that you can carry around your shoulder, or that you can loop around a leg of a table or anything like that, so that if it moves around, it doesn't crash on the floor, and then you end up with a $5,000 piece of equipment that doesn't work. The price was when I bought it at $3,500. It is now $4,500, and it's gonna be even more if you add the maintenance plan. It is, I believe, at the beginning 1 year included, and it is 2 years for $500 extra, and every additional year for $500, and they will send you an email for renewal every year. It is worth it because there's a lot of equipment moving everywhere in that machine, and if something breaks, it's gonna cost a fortune. We had a USB-C on the side that broke a year ago, and it cost me $385 to fix, and it was out of warranty or out of coverage for the warranty. So this is expensive, so it's probably worth the extra money every month. All right, so we received the Braille like that, like I said. Let's look at it and how it looks like. It's gray, has a lot of dark color. It's very contrasted, so you can actually see it if you are low vision. But all the pictures and all the buttons on the surface of the Braille actually are different shape, so that you can actually recognize which button is which just by touching them. You have button on all the side, the right, the left, the right, the top surface, and the side of the Braille. And there's nothing there. And if you need more information, or if you have it and you want to call Humanware or anything related to customer service, under it there is all the information you need in Braille. They will tell you the model number, the serial number, etc. We'll talk about that on another show. All right, so let's look at what the unit look like. So this is the top part of it. We're going to first look at the left part of the Braille. You have two openings here. One is the USB-C. This is basically how you're going to charge the device. It comes with the USB-C cable and the wall charger. If you use their equipment, it should take 1.5 hours to 2 hours to charge it from 0 to 100. Then right next to it you have the on-off button, and then at the bottom you have the regular USB opening, so you can save your notes or download Braille books into a USB thumb drive that you insert in that side of the Braille, and then you can actually access it and read what's in there. On the other side, the right side, you have a toggle that increase or decrease the volume of that you're going to hear from the Braille. It is a beep or a voice, and then there is a jack where you can put your headphone and listen to the sound without annoying the person next to you. All right, now the top. That is the more important, more interesting part of the Braille. On the upper part of the top of the Braille, you have the Perkin keyboard. So for those who don't know what a Perkin keyboard, this is how you enter the Braille character. There are 6 characters, 6 positions here, dot 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So you can enter A, B, C, D, or any contracted or uncontracted Braille character here. There's a 2 traditional buttons on the right and left side of the Perkin key here, and this one is for backward and this one is for forward. It works the same way as the typewriter. And then for every time you need a space, you need to press any of those two buttons at the bottom. That is the equivalent of a space between a word or at the end of a sentence or after a punctuation sign. On the lower part of the top level of the Braille, you have the actual 40 cell lines of Braille characters. This is where the Braille will show once we activate the device. And so there is 48 position cells. We'll explain a while later, but just the upper 6 dot or location of each cell is where the character will show up, and the lower 2 position are for the cursor. So there are 40 position for 40 character, and on top of it there are 40 little tiny I would say dots on top of each of those character. When you type something in Braille, if you make a mistake, in order to get back to the character you want to fix, you have to press the button that is situated right on top of the correction you want to make. And if you press that button, the cursor will go back here, and the next character you'll enter will go at that location. This is a lot of detail, but we'll talk about that later. On both sides, there are function key 1, 2, 3, and 4. They depend on what kind of software that you are using on the device, and there are actually 2 other functions on the left and the right side of the Braille that are very rarely used, and they are actually not very convenient to press. They are very close to the casing, and they are very rarely used anyway. On the front of the device, you have 5 buttons. One in the middle is a circular one. That's a home button. Anytime that you're lost, or anytime you want to go back to the home Braille page of the device, you have to press that button. It gets you back to the welcome page for the Braille. And then you have all those buttons right and left. On the right part, you have that first button right next to the home button. It is the next button. And then the button after that, it's called a forward button. So it's the equivalent of if you have a sentence and you want to move from one character to another, you press the next button. If you want to move from one line to another, you press the forward button. So for a book, it will be the page by page will be the next button. If you want to go from one character to from one chapter to another chapter, it will be the forward button. And then on the other side, of course, you have the back and the back and previous button. The first button on the left of the home button is the back button, that's the equivalent of moving back one page. And then the other button on the complete left side of the face of the Braille is a if you press it, that the camera moving to a chapter backward. That's pretty much it for all the buttons here. There's a lot of buttons everywhere. Maybe one more thing you can see on both sides here, there are speakers. We'll hear about that. And there is on the upper right corner, completely at the corner, there's an opening for a microphone that is not activated right now with the version of the software that is installed with the Braille. There's been a lot of update over the past few months on the Braille. Originally, when I got it a year and a half ago, it came as is with just a vibration and beep feature to tell me when it was on and off. But as you see, now I'm going to put it on. It got a voice assistance now, and it will probably tell you, it will tell you pretty much everything where you are and what you need to do. So let's press the on button and let's get this going. You have to press 2 or 3 seconds. Then you can see the character popping up on the line, and here it's starting. It will take a few seconds, and then the voice will tell you where you are after that.
Loading.
There you go, it's loading the interface.
USB connection.
All right, so it has a lot of messages before it sends you to the homepage. That's because I configured it this way. But what you get it the first time, what you get the first time you start your Braille when you get it at home,
Terminal.
you receive that message. Terminal is usually
Wi-Fi connected.
that again. Terminal is the actual homepage of your Braille. Every time that you press on the circular button that I mentioned earlier for the home button, you'll end up with terminal. So you can go wherever you want.
Editor.
Then when you
Keypad.
press that button, you go back to
Terminal.
terminal. Let's go quickly with all the menu so we can use a few of the buttons on the side. If you want to go from one menu to another, one option to the other on the menu, you have to move the back and forth or forward and previous button. For that case, it doesn't matter which button you take as long as you know which one is on the right or on the left. So if you want the next one, you keep going. You start with terminal and you press the right button on next to the circular home button for the next option. So you go from terminal to
Editor. Keypad.
editor.
Braille editor. Keyproof.
Then there's a Braille editor.
Vector reader.
There's a Victor reader. That's the reader we'll talk about later. That allows you to read all kind of books.
File manager.
Then you have a file
Files.
manager. Again, everything that you download inside the Braille, either through the internet or online services, or the USB thumb drive on the side on the USB opening I showed you, will end up in that file editor. So if you get in there, you can look at the file, erase the file, rename it, or do anything like that. That's the actual option you need.
Calculator. Keycal.
It has a basic calculator. It's addition, division, multiplication, percent, etc. There's nothing scientific or nothing fancy. It's really basic.
Date and time.
Date and hour. Again, it will sync with your Wi-Fi connection, or if it doesn't, there's always a way to fix it on your own.
Options.
Option is the most complicated part of using a Braille, since it's going to be yours and it has to have your own preference. For example, for some and for me, originally the back and the forth was, or the next and back were clear to me, but I didn't see the difference between previous and or forward and previous. So I reconfigured those two buttons so they work more for me. Then you have to choose what kind of language you want to talk, English or French or any kind of language that is already uploaded in the machine. And then you have to decide which kind of Braille you are going to use. They're the new standard for the American standard that is, I believe, 4 or 5 years old. There's the previous one, previous standard. You have all kind of standard depending on what country you are interested in. And then the biggest part is to decide what kind of Braille you're going to work with. Is it contracted or uncontracted? It works both ways. It will read books or it will help you with your typing, depending on what kind of Braille you're looking for. If it's uncontracted, that means all the characters are typed one by one. Then you set it up in uncontracted Braille, and then everything that is printed here on those this line of 40 characters will be uncontracted. And when you download a book, it will be uncontracted too. If you choose contracted, which means that a symbol can mean a whole word or can mean multiple letters altogether, then it will read the original file, and then it will contract automatically, and you will show on that line only the Braille part of what it was read in contracted form.
Online services.
Online services, there's a few online services here. One of them that I like is free as long as you have a certificate of legal blindness. Bookshare and Bard, both services allow you for free, as long as you have a certificate, to download free books and literally read as much as you want. And for Bard in particular, you can have very recent books or magazine. Something that came up, for example, a week ago, I was able to get it downloaded and read through the Braille.
User guide.
So that's the user guide. It is the only thing that is crap in this device. It's the USB guide. It's very poorly explained, very difficult to read, and there is no real architecture in how to go from one point to another. It's filled with tables, which don't go very well with a Braille device that is only one line. For those who know Braille, when you work with a table, it is much better to work on a table on a complete page. And a page of control, for example, does not work well in this kind of instrument. So the USB guide is pretty much useless there. It's nice to have it here in case you really need it. But since you can't even navigate to what you're interested to learn about, it's pretty much useless. The USB guide, the printed version, is actually provided to you in large and regular font or font size as part of the document that come with the book, with the Braille display.
Power off.
And then there is the power on and off. So we are heading toward the end of that first video. We're going to show you how to power it off. It is power off. This is where we are right now. Let's try again.
Power off.
Power off. The way to activate each of those options is always to press the go ahead button or the enter button, which is the enter button on the forward button on the Perkin keyboard on the upper part of the face of the Braille. So you press enter.
Shut down.
And then you enter into the option. Once you enter into the option, the enter, you're not going to use it. You have to go from one option to another within that option. So it's a like a category, and then you're in a subcategory, and in order to go from one subcategory to another, you have to go with the button on the side of the Braille, forward and previous, or next and back, to figure out what you want to do. So right now we were on do you want to shut it down? So you go next.
Okay.
If you are ready, you say okay, and then when you're done, you press the enter button on the Perkin keyboard. Or if you made a mistake and you want to go back,
Cancel.
you can cancel and press the enter button, and you go back to the previous menu. So let's just stop it or shut it down. So I go back to shut down. Next.
Okay.
Okay, and then I press enter.
Shutting down.
Then it tells you shutting down. It takes some time. And that's it. The Braille is now shut down. In order to prevent dust or dirt to get inside the instrument, all the dots of each of the 40 characters here are raised up. You can feel them with your finger. This is also the great time if you want to clean it up. You can actually clean the surface of this area, since it's going to have a lot of smudges where you put your finger all the time. You can clean it up when everything is raised, and you're good to go. That's it. That's it for the first video for an introduction, a quick introduction on the Braille refreshable display from Humanware, the Braille BL40X. I'll see you next time for a more in-depth introduction of the actual software downloaded inside the Braille.